late one night, when everyone was in bed, there was a knock at the door.
There!
What happened on that ship was a terrible tragedy.
He doesn't care.
Help me! Help me!
At the beginning of the movie, a woman named Ava is shown walking through a windy, snowy, and desolate landscape. She narrates, "We should not be here. Magnus said it was a place of opportunity. If you could endure the cold, the long nights, the hunger. This time last year, all these racks were full. Yesterday, we started eating the fishes we had set aside for bait. The men don't want to think of anything but the next day at sea. Perhaps it's the only way they can survive." The scene then transitions to a group of men celebrating, singing, and enjoying themselves. Eva comments, "For the past 3 seasons, we haven't been able to catch enough fish." Ragnar responds, "But we still had enough to sell." Eva interrupts, "I meant no disrespect, Ragnar. My concerns are less about the catch and more about the well-being of the men. In each of those years, not everyone survived the winter." Ragnar replies, "This is a fishing station. Any man who doesn't have scars on his hands, salt in his blood, is in the wrong place." He continues, "You know, Miss Ava, your husband, Magnus, God bless his soul, used to give a toast to the men on midwinter's night." Ragnar passes a drink to Ava for her to give the toast. Eva offers a toast for the safety and well-being of everyone. Later, Hegna starts telling them all a story. She says, "There were brothers I heard of from a town a little north of here. They were fishermen. One was handsome, one was plain. They worked hard every winter, and in time became wealthy. Now, the plain brother spent his money wisely, but the handsome brother did not. The older he got, the more he came to envy his brother's beautiful wife and his fine house. So one day, when they were out at sea, he took up his oar and struck him 3 times at the back of the head, pushed him overboard, and rowed home. Told everyone that there had been a terrible accident. A year went by. He married his brother's beautiful wife and moved into the fine house. Then late one night, when everyone was in bed, there was a knock at the door. He sent one of the servants to see who it was, but the man never came back. There was another knock at the door. He sent his wife, but she didn't come back either. Once more, there was a knock at the door. Finally, the handsome brother went to the door himself, but there was no one there, just the bad smell of seaweed and rotting meat. Then, at the back of his neck, he felt, suddenly a man scares the other man, and they all burst into laughter. Later, Eva is seen talking with Daniel. Daniel says, "Some of the men thought you wouldn't return this season. After what happened with Magnus, they believed you'd sell the fishing station and move back to your family." Eva responds, "Magnus was my family. This fishing station is all I have left." The next morning, as everyone prepares for fishing, Eva notices something in the distance. A ship is sinking. She moves closer to get a better look and quickly realizes the gravity of the situation. Soon, everyone else notices as well. They begin to hear the desperate screams of men calling for help. Daniel rushes to act, but Ragnar stops him. Ragnar snaps, "That is not our business." Daniel shouts back, "It could be us out there." Ragnar retorts, "But it isn't. If they had any sense, they wouldn't have taken a ship that size so close to shore. We lost Master Magnus out in those same rocks. And now you want us to take the boat out there, risking all our lives? For strangers?" Another man asks. "We're not going to help them?" Ragnar responds, "We can barely feed ourselves. There might be 10, maybe 20 people still aboard. If you don't like how I run things, find another boat to work on. I'm the helmsman, damn it. It's my decision." Daniel retorts, "No, it's not. It's hers. She owns the boat, not you." Eva announces, "I'm afraid Ragnar is right. Helping those men would put all of your lives at risk, and I cannot do that. We will not fish today, out of respect." Saying this, she turns and looks toward the sinking ship with sorrowful eyes. The next morning, Eva goes to the shore to check on the ship. As she walks along the shoreline, she notices a rope. Curious, she picks it up and begins to follow it, holding it tightly. She gives it a tug, and suddenly, a barrel tumbles in front of her. Back at home, Ragnar cuts a piece, tastes the contents, and finds it delicious. Eva suggests searching other beaches. Ragnar replies that it would be a waste of time. He says, "It's just luck that this ended up here. I know how the waters move around the rocks. Any wreckage that can float will stay close to them." Eva asks, "For how long?" Ragnar responds, "Until the tide turns. After that, who knows?" Eva then asks, "Could we get a boat out there before then?" Ragnar answers, "We'll have to leave now." The scene cuts to Ragnar, the men, and Eva in a boat. Suddenly, Eva notices several ships in the distance behind them. As they row toward the large rocks, Ragnar spots a box floating in the water. One of the men pulls the box toward him and places it in the boat. Eva turns back to look at the rocks for more boxes. Suddenly, she notices something and gets scared. It seems to be people calling out for help. Ragnar immediately orders the men to row the boat backward. The desperate people leap into the water, hoping for rescue. As the people try to climb aboard, the men shove them back into the water. Amid the chaos, Ragnar falls into the water, disappearing beneath the surface. Eva quickly lights her lamp, but just then, a man from the water grabs her hand. Eva screams for help. Daniel rushes over and strikes the man in the face with a rod, killing him instantly. The man's lifeless body drifts in the water. The next day, they discover that they retrieved 5 jars of lamp oil and 6 bottles of brandy. One man exclaims, "We lost our helmsman for this?" And the group begins arguing in frustration. Daniel yells for them to be quiet. Eva says, if no one has any objections, Daniel will take over as helmsman. With that, she walks away. Later, Daniel tells Eva, "Your husband used to say, if you can't rely on the man sitting next to you, you shouldn't get in the boat in the first place." Eva asks, "Do you think he would have made the same decision I did?" Daniel replies, "What's done is done." Suddenly, they hear splashing in the distance. As they move closer, they discover dead bodies that have washed ashore. Eva notices Aaron nearby and asks, "What are you doing?" She approaches him and demands, "What's in your hand?" Aaron responds, "A watch, miss." Eva firmly orders him to put it back. He reluctantly complies, but then notices movement in the corpses' stomachs. Startled, he screams, "He's alive!" Daniel approaches the body, observes the strange movement, and cuts open its stomach. To their horror, Snake emerges from corpse's stomach along with the man's intestines. The scene shifts to the group, placing dead bodies into coffins. Eva asks, "What's going on?" Jonas responds, "Nothing, Miss Eva, just a silly superstition." Helga is worried that the dead will return as draugr. Eva then asks, "What are the ropes for?" Daniel explains, "As I recall, they're for binding the dead. If you tie their arms with a knotted rope, they can't break free." Turning the coffin 3 times confuses their sense of direction, and hammering nails into their feet keeps them from walking in your dreams. After sharing this information, the group leaves without performing any of the rituals. Later, as Eva heads home, she hears a rattling noise coming from one of the coffins. She stops and freezes in terror before quickly moving on. Walking through the dark, she hears footsteps approaching from behind. Startled, she turns and notices a figure sitting in the distance. After a moment, the figure begins to rise, and Eva, overcome with fear, starts running. Trembling, she stumbles and falls. When she looks back again, the figure is gone. Just then, Daniel touches her shoulder, and she gets scared. Later that night, Eva tells Daniel about the figure she saw. Daniel reassures her, saying, "It's the long winters and the darkness, they play tricks on your mind, even in the best of times." Eva nods in agreement. Daniel then offers her late husband Magnus's rifle, suggesting it might give her peace of mind. There's no harm in keeping it ready. At night, while Eva is sleeping, she has a nightmare about her encounter with the people whose ship sank. She jolts awake in fear. Just then, she hears a man muttering in the distance. Curious and concerned, she goes to check and finds Aaron muttering in his sleep in a shaky voice. The next morning, Eva notices something above the door. Curious, she examines it and realizes it's witchcraft. She informs Helga, saying she found it hidden there. Helga responds, "It won't work if it were hidden. The draugr needs to see it." Eva asks, What is it? Helga explains. Wood from that ship? It's a stave, miss. To protect the house from the evil, Eva replies. The men cannot be reminded of what happened that night. I cannot afford to have them distracted by spirits and ghosts. Interrupting, Helga says firmly, It's not a spirit, miss. Most of it is skin, bone, and blood, just like us. Only, there's no life left in it anymore. Just hate, she continues. I've seen it in my dreams. It stays hidden during the day, but at night, that's when I felt it. Trying to get into the mind. Maybe you felt it too. Later, Eva notices that her group has caught more fish than usual that day. She suggests, We should celebrate this. We have plenty of food now. Everyone agrees enthusiastically. Then, we see them all enjoying themselves, partying, dancing, and celebrating because they've caught a lot of fish. After a while, Eva hears a creaking sound and notices a figure standing in the distance, shrouded in darkness. Trembling with fear, she begins to move backward, keeping her eyes on the figure. Suddenly, Håkon asks, Are you all right? Eva looks back at the figure, but now there's no one there. She gets up and leaves. Helga approaches her and asks, Did you see it? The charms aren't working. Soon, it'll get into everyone's minds, and that'll be the end of us. It wants us to turn on each other. Eva replies, I think I just had too much to drink. Helga warns, A thing like that never stops. I wouldn't sleep if I were you, Eva says. Whatever happened on that ship to those people was a terrible tragedy. We had no choice, Helga responds. It doesn't care. It won't stop until it's taken all of us. The only way to stop a draugr is with fire. Burn it. The next morning, Eva wakes up and hears a commotion in the distance. She goes to check and discovers that all the fish are gone from the storeroom. Stuttering, she asks, How? Daniel shakes his head in response. Eva steps outside and asks, Where is Helga? Has anyone seen her since last night? Aaron replies, Not since she went up after you, miss. Eva says, Helga might be lost or injured. We have to find her while it's still light out, and our food. Later, Eva tells Aaron that he was talking in his sleep the other night. It was a rhyme, something about the draugr. Was it something Helga taught you? Aaron speaks the rhyme, Lock your doors and windows. When the sea gives up its dead, beware the draugr, for its rage will not be fed. It steals for love of stealing. It hurts for love of pain. Beware the draugr when it roams the midnight plain. There is madness in its words. There's sickness in its breath. Beware the draugr for its icy touch as death. It lingers near the grave and the breath that it once drew. Beware the draugr, for tonight it comes for you. As they search for Helga, they find her charm. Eva approaches the coffin and asks Scully for a knife. Using the knife, she opens the coffin to check if there is a body inside and finds one. She then moves to another coffin and finds a body there as well. But she notices that one of the coffin lids is open. They check, and the body from it is missing. Eva immediately asks Scully to get rope, nails, and a hammer. Scully and Håkon quickly begin following the instructions Helga had given them earlier. Later that night, Eva hears the creaking sound. Then she notices water dripping. As she looks straight ahead, she sees a figure sitting in the corner at a distance. The figure begins to turn toward her, but just then, Aaron arrives and informs her that Håkon is sick, and they don't know what to do. Eva looks back at the corner, but now there's no one there. She goes outside to check on Håkon. Suddenly, he jumps up, screaming, Keep it away! He looks in one direction, trembling with fear. Daniel tries to console him. Håkon covers his ears, yelling, I don't want to hear it. Suddenly, he gasps, staring at something and says, It says we're all gonna die. Daniel replies, You're sick. You're seeing things. Håkon retorts, And you haven't? You think you're safe? In a flash, he attacks Daniel. The others try to pull him off. Just then, Aaron grabs a hammer and strikes Håkon hard on the head, killing him. Later, Daniel tells Eva that he's known Håkon for 10 years and has never seen him like this. Eva responds, The draugr is real, and we have to get rid of it. Daniel confesses, I've seen a shadow out of the corner of my eye. I've heard a voice in the back of my mind. I have been dreaming about that man's death. I can feel the axe in my hand, feel it split in his skull. That's not a ghost. It's worse than that. I don't know what's happening here. I can't explain it. But I do know this. The living are always more dangerous than the dead. With that, he leaves. Next morning, Ava notices wet footsteps marks on the floor. As she looked closely, she sees a figure sitting in the dark. Suddenly, the door opens and Scully and Aaron brings injured Daniel inside. Eva asks, what happened to him? Scully tells her that he fell in the water, hit his head on the ice. He is burning up like Håkon. Later, Eva asks Scully, what happened down there? Scully replies, we shot some lines out by the pack ice, and it wasn't more than an hour when an old mist came rolling in. That's when Daniel saw the seals. We just heard them barking. So, we brought the boat alongside the ice and Daniel climbed up. He was only supposed to be gone for a minute or two, but we waited and waited until the mist had grown as thick as smoke. Then, all of a sudden, he came running back out of the fog, like the devil himself was chasing him. That's when he slipped on the ice and fell into the water. It's a miracle we managed to get him back in the boat. Eva asks, did you see what he was running from? Scully whispers, I saw a shadow standing upright, tall as a man. Later that night, while Eva is sitting beside Daniel, two men behind the curtain blow out the lamp to rest. At that moment, the draugr is seen standing silently behind Eva. The next morning, Eva hears a clattering sound. As she goes inside, she finds Jason injured. Suddenly, Daniel slams the door shut and approaches Eva with a knife in his hand. Eva, stepping backward, pleads with him to stop. Just then, a glass falls to the floor. Daniel looks at her and, without warning, slits his own throat, collapsing onto Eva. Shocked and unable to comprehend what just happened, Eva screams for help, sobbing faintly. Later that night, Aaron screams, I'm not going to let it into my mind. Jonas urges him to put the knife down. Eva gets up and quickly throws the knife out of Aaron's hand. Scully says, we can't stay here, miss. Jonas adds, we'll end up like Håkon and Daniel. Eva responds, whether we cross the sea or go over the mountains, what guarantees that this thing won't follow us? We have to destroy it. Jonas whispers, but how? Eva reveals, Helga said the only way to destroy a draugr is with fire. She mentioned it lingers near the grave. That's where we'll begin our search. The scene shifts to them, climbing the mountain in search of draugr. The weather turns foggy, with almost no visibility. After a while, Eva realizes no one is behind her. She shouts, where are you all? Where did you go? Lost in the fog, she suddenly notices someone in the distance. She calls out, Scully. Just then, Scully falls from the mountain. Shocked, Eva rushes to the spot, looking around frantically for him. Finally, she finds him, lifeless. Then she hears Aaron calling her name. As she turns, she notices a figure sitting in the distance. She loads her rifle, moving forward cautiously. Suddenly, a crow flies out from the figure, making her realize it's not a draugr. Eva approaches to investigate and discovers that it's Helga, frozen and lifeless. Later, Eva instructs Jonas and Aaron prepare the boat. We have to leave as soon as possible. She then leaves the room and enters her cabin. Inside, she notices wet patches on the floor. Suddenly, she hears creaking sounds from above, followed by the sound of footsteps. Realizing someone is coming, she quickly hides under a table. As she crouches, a shard of glass pierces her hand. She carefully removes it without making a sound. Moments later, she watches in horror as a draugr enters the cabin, roaming the room. Her rifle lies out of reach, and she grabs a nearby knife instead. The draugr's footsteps approach her hiding spot. It picks up a lamp from the table and slowly sits down. Eva runs for her rifle, but she stumbles, dropping the knife. The draugr drags her back, but she retaliates, stabbing it with the knife. She scrambles toward her rifle and grabs it. The draugr growls to haunt her. Eva shouts, "You're not getting in my head." Before firing at the creature, Eva spills flammable liquid across the floor. She then picks up the lamp and hurls it onto the liquid, igniting the cabin in flames. The draugr screeches in agony as the fire consumes the room. Eva stumbles outside, sobbing, and mutters, "It was in the house. I shot it." Jonas asks, "What happened, miss?" Eva replies, "The fire will finish it off. It's over." Breathing heavily while Eva watched the house burn, she had a flashback in which instead of the draugr, there was a man in her room. Eva asks, "Who are you? What are you doing here?" The man says in foreign language, "I am just a fisherman." Eva asks him to stop. He explains her that he lost everything when the ship sank, and he has nothing left. Eva says, "I am not understanding your language." The man says, "I am sorry I took your food. I was angry. My crew, my brother." Eva tells her to not come closer. The man says, "I just need your boat." He then shows her a watch. She inspects it and then shoots him. She pours flammable liquid over his body and set him ablaze. Eva stares into the burning house and the screen cuts to black as the movie ends. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the chills, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a scare. Until next time, stay spooky.